Yeah, I had to check there for a second, make sure that everything was okay. Let me tilt my camera a little bit this way. There you go. All right, welcome again. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving week. I certainly did. We got together with all our friends, and it was quite a crowd. I think it was up like 34 people in one house. Of course, it's a big house. Um, Simply is friends of the family. That's Nathan's aunt um, married a police officer that had just retired, and she was still is a prosecuting lawyer here in Montgomery County. Um, and they have a lot of friends and pretty big place. So we decided to have it there, and it was great. I brought my friends over because they had nothing to do. They would have been left alone, and so we drove them over to the house and had a great time. Probably ate a little bit too much, but I still behaved. I tended to behave. I did make friends with a gentleman who was sitting at our table, several tables. Uh, and I sort of out of the blue, I mentioned something about YouTube. And they said, "What do you watch?" And I said, "Well, my wife and I watch a lot of British TV and crime shows. They have really good ones, especially in Canada and also the UK." And then I said something about photography. And the guy that was right to my left says, "Oh, really? Can I have your channel?" And I send him the information, and he immediately subscribed. Turns out this guy is actually from Australia. The other couple were from South Africa. So the Australian guy with zero accent, total American accent. Maybe he's been living here all his life, possibly, but he is Australian. Um, Went to school and got a degree, I think, out of like junior college in photography, and he's been doing this forever, just almost as long as me. So that started a huge conversation for that evening. I think I sort of monopolized the table with this guy. And so, yeah, interesting who you will meet. And I have sat next to this guy before, no hint as to what his interests were. Let me get a drink. This is a really interesting soda from Trader Joe's. We're going to be going there this coming week. Mm, delicious and 0 calories. And it doesn't taste like artificial sugar. You know, my wife's endoscopy went well. They really didn't find they did a lot of biopsies, but she has a lot of polyps, and so they suspect nothing will be um, serious. It'll be all benign. So she's recuperating from also her rib still hurts. She says that after the procedure, of course, her throat hurt. I can understand that. I don't think I can. I would not want an endoscopy done to me, only if absolutely necessary. Gosh, at least they knock you out mostly, so you really don't experience the discomfort of having a prop in your mouth, keep your mouth. Oh gosh, forget about it. Not this boy. Anyway, um, so welcome again. I hope everyone had a great week. As I said earlier, we have a few people here, 24 people. Actually, that's not a few. That's pretty good for us. We'll start from the top, work our way to the bottom. If you guys recall, last week, Mike Cheney sort of hinted something. So he came through with it. And I think it's at this point, it's not going to be available just yet, but it's a way to use a scanner and use it as a spectrophotometer in order to be able to read the patches that you print. And you print those using QImage, of course, and using the, I think it's off mode, meaning that QImage does not apply any kind of correction like Photoshop or Lightroom or any other photographic editing program would. If you open up a file they will apply a color space to it, whatever you chose to work under. And that is not the way you print patches for creating profiles. So I told him that I was going to try to do it live, and he sort of told me, no, not yet, because you may, just because it worked, say, off camera, doesn't mean that, me, I'm always screwing things up when I do something technical on live uh, TV, let's just call it that, live video. Um, but I'm going to try it and just see how bad I can screw up. I did do one, and I used a glossy paper from Staples. And I'll just give you a quick show. I also have the video. I actually played the video and did a screen capture, enhanced the audio, and now I should be able to play it for you guys, and you should be able to hear it. Now, if I had just gone to his YouTube page, for some reason, it just does not pick up the audio. So anyway, this is what you will print, and this is several thousand patches. If you look very closely, a ton of little squares. I almost tried to figure out how many, I think he's going to tell us in the video, are located here. And as you can see, there's not going to be too much interpolation required to be able to figure out possibly in between colors. Remember that your printer using a 8-bit file is technically, theoretically able to reproduce, or at least the image theoretically able to contain over 16.5 million color hues from dark to almost white, every hue you can think of within, the range of RGB and CMY, I guess you can say, when it comes to printing. So, and the way you do this is very actually ingenious, and we'll talk about that later on. But let's go ahead and say hello to the folks that we do have here at 7:19 this morning, my time, TDP, that is Ron K from Trenton, New Jersey, EcoTank 8550, QMH Ultimate Lifetime. He's got a Canon R5 Mark II and the Canon 7D. Nigel Waters is here with us, 7:30 a.m. our time. UK, Wales, Canon Pro 300 with all the trimmings. We have Fred Elias from cold and snowy western southeast Michigan. Now, this morning, talking about snow, this morning the temperature was around freezing, 32 or 0 centigrade. And rain, just not a drizzle, let's just say, from about 3 o'clock in the morning on through like almost now, still doing it. But the temperature just went up just a couple of degrees above that. And we were saved from having to deal with snow this morning, although it would have just been like this much. So no big deal. So anyway, he is in Southwest Michigan, EcoTech 8550, Red River Papers, and QMH All OEM. Wishing all happy Thanksgiving. He is a hobbyist, usually welcome guests at parties and events. Martin van Gogh is here from the Netherlands. Welcome, my friend. And he can't follow the stream. Watching what? Oh, I see. He's watching something else on TV. Well, you can catch us later. It's fine. I've watched Mickey's YouTube clip about the Print Prism software. And that is that a laugh or a happy face? I don't know. Yeah, I will be playing that a little bit later as soon as we get done here. We got a couple of things to talk about first, though. Let's see here. Welcome from cool and overcast Medford. This is Henry Stoffel, Massachusetts, Epson P800, OEM Inks, and of course, QMH Ultimate. Welcome. Richard Bender from Hagerstown, Maryland is here with us. 8550, 4180 flatbed scanner, Nikon D300 for HDR photography. QMH, and here, where is Mike Cheney's announcement? It's in my Facebook group. I don't think you do Facebook. But I'll I don't think it's up on the site yet either. So, but I did have a preview of the software, and I'm going to go ahead and attempt to demo it for you guys, and then whatever we produce, I will try to do before I even attempt to print something, I will do a check in Photoshop using the test, the what do they call that when you're testing a profile on an image? You know what I mean. DJI drone is storing very old images. That's awesome. That is something I really want to get into as well. Nick Marmolejo, hello, from Deer Valley, Arizona. Epson Stylus 3800 Piosography Pro inks in it, and Epson XP 15000 chipless PC SE inks. Okay, so that's just like what I'm running on my wife's room upstairs. And the other day, I topped everything off, and it just took a few ml. So obviously, she's probably not printing very much. And I'm glad that the printer doesn't do mandatory cleaning cycles. Otherwise, it would have been all gone. QImage Ultimate Lifetime OM1 Photo Raw Max Sony Alpha 6000. MPF's photo has a Weissner Technical 4x5 camera. I'm sure that's a tilt and swing and a view, what they call a view camera. A Schneider 75 mm Super Angulon 120, Angulon Schneider convertible 210 to 370. So a zoom basically, right? Epson Perfection 4870 photo flatbed scanner. Kevin Bruniarski, Ellsworth, Wisconsin, Canon Pro 300, Epson 8 Kodak 8550 QImage Ultimate, Photo Nikon 780, Edmonton, Canada. He says it's minus 17. I looked that up, and it's like 1 degree, so almost zero. Canon Pro 1000, Epson 8 Kodak 8550, XP 15000 OEM inks, QImage Ultimate, Photoshop Lightroom, DxO Photolab 9. Martin says print Prisma. Yeah, exactly. A4. Let me see what it called it. It is called Print Prism, not Print Prisma. He used to have something similar. It used to be for and X-Rite, my i1 Pro 2 software has the ability to also create a profile for your scanner. So when you scan something, it immediately applies that profile you created, and the output is absolutely accurate to the original. What it sees is what you get. But he also used the scanner to create profiles way back then. And then it just sort of went away, and he brought it back on a much more modern type format. So we'll get into that in a bit. Judy Ann, hello, my friend, and good afternoon to you as well. She says, good afternoon from the other end of the country. Canon Pro 200 printer, Nikon, Fujifilm cameras. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you guys enjoyed my camera show last week. I still have them here. I'm waiting for my boy Nathan to be able to make it over here and to see what has been um, his idea of what he wants to do with his cameras. Grandpa doesn't need them anymore. So he was interested. And of course, I said, of course. Yes. Steve from Germantown, new EcoTank 8550. Awesome. And the R2000 backup. All right. Okay. So I didn't see that. Is it on the, since Wednesday? So it is when I announced it on the Facebook group. Okay. Because I looked on the, in the website. I didn't see it. So thanks for letting me know. Why don't you send me? No, let's just go ahead and look at QImage website quickly here. Let me pop it over to the other monitor. Okay, so where would I find that? here. Introducing Image Ultimate, yes. I expected it to be in the very first, the home page here, but all I saw was QImage. That's why I said that maybe possibly it wasn't posted, for sale yet. Um, Downloads. Let's see. Just give me a quick um, reply here where to go find it so that people know. And you said that 101 will be available possibly today. Let's see, purchase. See that? That's why I said QImage 1, downloads. Yeah, just tell me where it would be at, and I will point folks to it. Leah Lee, welcome. I don't think I recall you been here before. I wanted to ask you about ink for the Canon Pro 1100 because there is none in precision colors. As I spoke with Matt, he told me that soon, although he is more important to work on a new website. I found, yeah, he definitely needs to do that. Other companies like Farbenwork, that sounds German, um, which have ink that they say is compatible with both the 1100 and the one. Yeah, well, so is the current. Let me tell you. Okay, let me finish reading this, and then I'll give you my 2 cents. And I wanted to know if I can use Canon Pro 1000 ink in the Canon Pro 1100 because I why. Okay, you stop right there. Okay, the answer is yes. You can use Pro 1000 ink in the 1100, and you'll get results like you get in the Pro 1000, which is excellent. You will be using Pro 1000 1100 profiles using Pro 1000 ink. I already did that on my Pro 1000 printer. I use 1100 profiles, and I did a comparison between Pro 1000 profiles, Pro 1100 profiles, and I did get a slightly different. It almost matched the claims that the company was putting out there. So indeed, the inks are slightly different. It's a different formulation. The base ink has an anti-abrasion component. They call it a wax, which I assume once it dries, it will be like when you put wax on your car. It dries, you buff it off, and you get uh, a very protective shine layer. Um, I have never had abrasion problems with handling with my prints, whether they were resin coated type media or regular, even the very fragile fine art papers that have a Beretta coating that tends to flake off in some cases. I haven't had any issues with the Pro 1000 ink formulation. So I don't know whether that was a required improvement for the 1100, something that was going to make me spend at that time $1,300 for a new printer. I didn't have an issue before, so why should I, and the claims about improved this and that when you look at prints. Let me tell you something. If it matched my monitor to the whatever level I edited my image, and that's what I got out of the Pro 1000, what do you mean an improvement? You see what I mean? What do you mean? Is it something that I can see? If what I see as an improvement now looks quote unquote better than my monitor, that is highly calibrated as I can possibly make it, what does that mean? You mean an enhancement. Enhancing means to make it higher, more contrast, more saturation, more this and that. Enhanced. Okay, it's not really that my Pro 1000 was inaccurate, producing inaccurate results. They match my monitor. Unless I get a monitor that gives me an enhanced, when calibrated look, I don't need that, better output or enhancement. I don't need that because I am getting what I saw in my monitor. Why the heck would I then bother editing if I'm going to get an enhancement of what I produced on my monitor? You see what I'm getting at? So I just don't see the difference. The enhancement I did see using the 1100 profiles on matching Canon papers, which I also printed using the existing Pro 1000 profiles. Is that enhanced result better than my monitor and more enhanced than what my monitor is producing? Would I have to adjust my monitor contrast and saturation to match the enhanced output? I don't want to do that. That is wrong. That's the wrong approach. So be careful how you interpret these things that you see. But technically, the printer will work fine. I mean, mechanically, it's not going to damage it, but you just go with whatever you can find out there. At this point, I really haven't looked to see if there's any 1100 inks floating around in all of the US based ink providers. So not really concerned. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, she said thanks. Mike Cheney says YouTube keeps deleting all my messages when I mention website. It's not cross-link from the QImage page yet. Okay, so that's why. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That is nuts. Um, did you put it on my Facebook? Because that would be the only way that I can just paste it here and people can copy it, physically copy it. Just yeah, I know you cannot post you cannot post a link at all. So you would have to send it to me, email, you know, tool, jtoolman, what is it? Tool Joe. I get confused. It used to be jtoolman. Tool Joe 1949 at gmail.com. Send it to me and I will copy and paste it here. People can then copy it or not copy it, but just, you know, copy it word, letter by letter. Um, and that way they can access it because they're not going to allow you to put a link here either. So, yeah, people watching cannot post links here. Right. Much more detail in the shadows. And so, what does that mean? They're more open, meaning that instead of having, see, most density, um, you can call it a graph or a gamma curve, starts off like this flat, gets a little bit higher. When you go to the right, you're increasing your densities. So that first section of about 6 different shades, it's the same shade, the same color, the same density, and then it starts going up, and then it plateaus at the highlight level as well. So your separation of highlights is also crushed. Separation of shadows also crushed. Now, if you do the same thing with a curve that has been adjusted so that it goes from zero, more of an incline, then you will have more open shadows. I think that's all they did, and that's not really the inks. That's just the firmware in the 1100. The 1100. So again, will that be reproduced if I use 1100 profiles? Maybe, maybe. What if I make my own profiles and I adjust that area? You know, so it's not really that, there's only some, you can only print so black and you can only print, okay, no ink is white. So that whole range, the more you separate it so that it's more straight going up to highlights without having an S curve and then plateaus at the top, down at the bottom, you're crushing those shadows, the first 6, 8, 10 levels, you're crushing them because they all look almost the same. So you're not going to have any detail. And then the upper highlights also, you're being crushed. So the straighter you can make that gamma curve, the more separation you're going to have from the darkest all the way to the white. In other words, you'll have more of an equal difference in density. So it will, if it's 0.2468, it will print as 0.4268 instead of 0.2, 0.4, 0.8, and then one should be 4 already, or 5 or 6. You see what I mean? So that's what happens, and I think that's what they adjusted in the actual firmware as well as the software. I'll have to do some more experiments during the using the 1100 profiles on my Pro 1000. Print Prism is also in the main software page without the Q image U in the URL. So I am going to okay, I got it. Yeah. I know what I will do. I'm going to look at the email you sent me. That's what I will do. To make sure I'm on Gmail. I'm going to post this. This is for the. Do you want me to post not the link to the directly to the registered version, Mike? 2006.100. You want me to post that link? Let me know. I'll hold on for now. If you say yes, I will go ahead and post it. Let's continue on here. Also, you can't get a Pro 1000 if you do use or more expensive new. What? Also, you can't get, huh? If you do use or more expensive, yeah. Nobody sells Pro 1000s anymore? This is Richard Bender. After 17 months EcoTank 8550 use with constant daily printing, I finally have to top off inks today. Yeah, amazing. Only because the yellow magenta colors have reached 25% levels. It is ridiculously thrifty printer. Unbelievable. Incal seems to have an 1100 kit, but I don't know whether they were able to maybe output wise, but did they figure out what the base liquid formulation is with this anti-abrasion waxy substance that they claim it contains? I don't think so. That might be a proprietary secret. Who knows? So yeah, labs, STS in Florida, whoever makes inks for the U.S. Image specialists, they got bought by STS. Maybe they already have one. Precision Colors would have to buy, and it would be an untweaked, off-the-shelf product for the 1100. So in other words, every seller in the U.S. that buys that ink set is buying the same ink set, unless you are a Mike Lee and fiddle with it for a year and get it down to perfection. That would be the only way that you can get a signature edition of that ink. Captain Dawsey from cool Richmond, Virginia. We know who you are. Pro 1000 Pro 100 with all the trimmings, Sony A77, A65, Coney Omega Rapid M2 and a quarter by 2 3/4 film cover. Nice. I love that. Pete Grobel is here. Just found out after 90 days, huge cleaning cycle. And that would be what, the 1100? Yeah, just like the Pro 1000 used to do. I never had that issue. Never. I swear to God, I never had that issue. Many people claim of that, and you need a new MC20 after that, and all of that. Anybody else owns a Pro 1100 have that happen? It happened to me twice after 90 days. Okay, I will look in Facebook. But I do have, so you don't want me to post the link you sent me, right, Mike? I swear, this is a totally different format than on my phone. So I can't even find the so-called messenger. Right. I think that's the case. There's no way that they're going to have that formulation. So they just probably use the existing base liquid and just did the ink formula. In other words, how much yellow, magenta, cyan, and black, both blacks, in what combinations and what proportions, and it'll be per ml. Lyali says, I wanted to mention that I am a new user of yours. On the live broadcast, I started to dare to print with the help of my love for my very help of my love for your very good videos. It was not easy. I have a Canon 310. For practice on the Canon Pro 1100, to print works. I am a professional photographer from Israel. I must say that the Canon 1100 has a lot of scheduling of deep and regular cleanings. Yeah. And I thought they were going to reduce that. That was a claim that I heard floating around. So, I love to hear stuff from actual users, hand-on users that say otherwise. Every 60 hours or about 120 hours for deep cleaning. So I perform daily nozzle checks every 23 hours and print. Yeah, 20, it's funny. 23 and 59 minutes and let's just say 59 seconds seems to be the trigger. If you do that before, it remembers you. Just in fact, why don't I just do one? It's been several days. My Pro 1000. Let's see how long it takes. I'm going to do that. You time me. I'm going to go ahead and set up a nozzle check, and then when I see it coming out, I'll go get it, and we'll see how many minutes. And I will tell you as I hear the noises what is happening. It's going to do an agitation cycle first, which basically is a mechanical process. It's not wasting any ink. Hold on 1 second. I need a piece of paper. Gosh, I don't have any paper. I'm going to turn on my heat press in case we print something. Take a couple of sheets of paper. All right. I hear the rhythmic noise, ta 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 ta, ta 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 ta. That is doing the agitation cycle. It is actually a little piston that goes back and forth, and it agitates the ink. Where it does that, I have no idea. So it is now 12:38. So let's see if it takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. So yeah, the Canon Pro 10, Pro 100 hardly did that. The Pro 10 did that, of course, a little bit if you wait several days of no printing, but it doesn't really do, um, super long, arduous type cleanings. Um, so yeah, it's not 60 hours. 60 hours. See, there used to be a very strict schedule regimen for these Canon pigment printers, not so much with the dye ink printers. I think it's done, and I don't even hear a cleaning cycle taking place. It could be doing a nozzle check. A nozzle check is not a printed nozzle check. A nozzle check is a mechanical check of the nozzles one at a time. And it just does a little tap. You hear a little tap, and it's checking if something is clogged. It's amazing technology. I know we all get very angry at it, but it is actually necessary in their view that you allow this to occur. They're not going to give you the option to cancel it. I think you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. You need to have that nozzle check. And again, these printers are made for daily use, not for occasional use. And that's where the problems kick in. Okay, so cleaning about every 60 hours, but not as much as deep cleaning. The disadvantage is in the small ink tanks. Yeah, they're only as big as this, tiny, unlike this 80 ml. These hold possibly about 13, 14 ml of ink, the little ones, the ones for the 300 series, as well as the Pro 10. No, not yet, I don't think. Right, Mike? Okay, yeah. So if that is all it takes, you can do that and find it. That'll be it, because StreamYard doesn't like links. Can print a photo on the Pro 1100, please? Any picture. I don't have a Pro 1100. Okay. Right. Okay. So forget it. We will not do that. That's why I waited for you. Definitely. Okay. So yeah, maybe you just Google it and you'll get there. But if you're a member of my Facebook group, it's already listed there, so no issues. Yeah, it's not doing a cleaning cycle. It is just quietly checking nozzles. And that's my fault because I didn't print for darn near a week, so since last Sunday. Um, you're referring to results due to the cleaning? No, the cleaning has nothing to do with your results. It's just making sure that all the nozzles are free to fire, okay, and not clogged. Having clogged nozzles would show as possible white lines where that nozzle just doesn't fire. It creates a white line, but there's a lot of overlapping taking place while you print, especially when you print in higher qualities than just your plain quality. So you may not even notice that you have a nozzle not behaving. Yeah, cleaning cycles just make sure that everything is good to go. I love my Pro 1100. To me, the best photo printer. It is. It is. I meant the Pro 1000. Yeah. So yeah, I could do that. Later on, I could print something. There it is. It's done. And now it's doing what sounds like a cleaning cycle, but it's not. When you print, after you get done printing, and you don't send any other jobs directly. Say, for instance, I'm on QImage and I load a multi-image job. It will sequentially, that's the word, sequentially print those images without much of a pause, except for loading the next sheet of paper. But if you don't have a job and like 30 some seconds pass, it will begin to drain the purge pad, the purge unit, the parking station. Goes by many names. So it drains that to make sure there's no puddling ink from possible back and forth printing, especially if it previously may have done a cleaning cycle. So it's just doing that as a precautionary measure. Here is the result, and it is perfect. Okay. So there you go. Now, that happened, gosh, what time was it? I forgot. Just a few minutes ago. And I hadn't printed on it a whole week. Okay. So had I printed every day like a good boy, then it wouldn't even have done that. It would have just immediately began to print. And if you're not getting that kind of behavior, maybe you should check to see if you have the latest firmware on your Pro 1000. That seems to have solved that issue of these unneeded. I mean, every nozzle was free to fire, but I decided to waste ink anyway, just to make sure, just to be absolutely sure that your results are going to be to your expectations. Yeah, I don't like anything unnecessary. If it is necessary, then I live with it. If it is not, then I don't want you wasting my ink, Canon. Okay, so not yet, folks. What I mean to say is that the cleaning that needs to be done is worth it to get wonderful results. Yeah, again, unless it's not necessary. And early on, firmwares were forcing the Pro 1000 to perform this regardless. You know, making my car idle for half an hour before I could put it in drive and take off because there may be air in the fuel lines. No, come on. It's not something that is absolutely necessary. It's just absolutely scared that it's not going to be, you know. In other words, he had no idea it was already unnecessary and it ran it anyway. No, we don't need that at all. Okay, so people with the Pro 10, the Pro 2 300, 310, and what is the other one? 300S. I think the S is for same model but in Europe. So, and you want to be refilled, you want to do some um, use of, say, empties you might buy on eBay or other other sources, you buy these empties from eBay. And I talked about this last week. And you take them out of the little box. They'll be in a baggie or something, absolutely dried, because people that sold them to you didn't have these clips, obviously, because what they come with is a sort of like a you snap it off. Um, no, there are actually little clips that you can get that you get with your printer. They threw those away. That's it. I remember what I did, and I'm sorry for doing that. They threw them away, so when you then take them off your printer, they're declared empty. And in this case, these types of cartridges, they do have an internal bag full of ink, and it collapses. And when it becomes empty, it'll be collapsed. You will not be throwing away massive amounts of inks like some other printers from Epson force you to do. Um, even the Pro 1000 tanks, Pro 1100 tanks, um, I think they're the same size, so they hold 80 ml of ink. These from Epson are rated for 80 ml, but they contain 90 ml. They have a bag inside. The 1100 Pro 1000 do not. So when those printers I just mentioned say the cartridge is empty, the cartridge is empty. You don't throw any ink away. But most other printers, they cannot take that chance to let the tank go empty. So you will be tossing some ink out. So if you buy empties from eBay, the bag, you see this, forget about this device yet. You see that little plate right here with a little circle on it? It's right against that translucent wall. That means the bag is expanded. There's no way that I can take this and add ink. It will not go in. There's air in the way. It will not force that air. It's too weak of a transfer condition. It's very, very passive. So air is going to block it from going in. Yeah, if you take an hour and a half to do that, drop by drop, very patiently, eventually that already full and inflated bag will be full of ink. But no, don't bother doing that. Here's what you do. You order this from Rudy Hallamum. There is a link on my video descriptions. It'll take you to a page that will allow you to then access many of my affiliates. And you can order this little device from him. Now, watch what happens. I want you to look at the bag. You see this right here? If I pull back, you see how it became blurry? That means that bag was pulled back. It's no longer sharp. Watch. You see how it became sharper? So you take some, say like a 20 ml syringe. The cartridge is dead empty. You load like 13 ml in it. Okay, make sure there's no air in the syringe. Attach your syringe with a tip, because a 20 ml will be a lure type, so you need a tip. Attach it, suck back, it'll collapse that bag. It will collapse that bag. And now ink is at the bottom. You just bubbled up air. Ink is at the bottom. Push the ink in. Don't do all of it because you don't want air to get in there. And then remove that. Now you can take this out and dribble whatever it takes to get it to 32 grams total weight. You can do this on a scale if you wish. And that way, immediately that cartridge will be able to take ink where normally it would not be able to, because it is completely dried and the bag is expanded. It does that automatically because you didn't put that little clip on it that the printer cartridge came with. Had you done that, then the person who bought your empties, the inside would have still be wet, the bag would have still be collapsed, and you should be able to just dribble ink. But if you do not have that luxury, you will need to have something. You can make your own. And I use just a regular clip. I drilled a little hole, a tiny little hole, right through the gasket. You can see the gasket. See the little dark spot? That's the tip of my little syringe needle. And then you just attach that, put that on your cartridge. Let me see if I have one with a little bit of liquid in it. Yeah, I think this one has, I hope it doesn't have ink. We will see. I think it's got water. Just load it. Let me see if my little trick works. And then attach it. It's a very tight fit. I made them that way on purpose. I can't get it to load. Nah, I'll use Rudy's. I just want to show you how you would go about flushing a cartridge if you needed to. So say you bought some eBay cartridges, like so. Make sure it is sealed. And notice, that's just water with a little ink in it. You see that? So that's how you do it. You pull out whatever's in there, add water, pull it out, add water until the water is nice and clear. And then just, in this case, I'm just going to put it back in. But that's all you did. Then you make sure that you collapse the bag. And now just fill it up. Do the same routine again, but with a larger syringe and whatever volume takes to fill this, which is about 13 ml. And you can do that very quickly. You can do 10 cartridges quickly that way. No problem at all. But if you had the little stand, so much better. That little stand allows you to lay this on a table, and that's available through Rudy's site. Now, let me take you there. Let me put this back on. Like so. Okay. Let me take you there to the actual link and website. And the person who created this for me, and by the way, Mike, it's Mike Cheney. Tomorrow, the 1st of December, I can attempt to get my verification for that last level of, remember what I'm talking about? To allow me to put complete URLs in my video description. We'll see how that goes. But I don't have to worry about that because I have this instead. This is it. So this little link right here, it says jtoolman. Now I'm going to post this, and you guys copy this. Hang on. Let me copy that. You don't even need the complete HTTPS// No, just jtoolman.netlify.app and then /. That's it. And I will post it at the bottom here. You can see that. So how do you use it? It takes you to this page, and then you can access each one of the what would be the individual links that I put on my website. Here's QMH1, here's QMH Ultimate, River, Photo Printing Techie. That is my Facebook group. This is my channel. This is Keith Cooper. I'm a big fan of Keith Cooper. And keep going down. It takes up a lot less room, folks. Here's the 3D printed items by Rudy Hallamam, Precision Color Sensor. This is for those who own a Pro 1000. The 1100 as well. You should be able to install this if you're going to go ahead and refill, and then you're going to disable your chips. You have to get a sensor system so you know how much ink is left in those cartridges. Once they reach a certain point, the light comes on, and that means now you should be topping off that one cartridge. Inkchip.net, this is simply for people who own Epson printers that can have their ink counters reset, or printers that do not allow you to do third-party refilling because they have locked that. They have special US or North America based firmwares, and they do not allow you to install, or they will not recognize third-party chips like auto reset chips. This renders the printer chipless. So it's not available for every single Epson printer, but many, many, many of them. Amazon affiliate page right here, and Rick Johnson, a website, not website, but eBay site right here. This is Patreon. If you want to join the Patreon and do a monthly donation, just a couple of bucks a month, that helps me. I get that every 5th of the month, and it goes directly to my PayPal. If you want to donate to PayPal, you can do that as well. A lot of people had trouble with that, but I will post my PayPal here if you would like to do a donation. Since we're not getting anything from YouTube anymore, at least not yet. Make sure I got this correct. Here it is. This is my PayPal. You can go directly there and send me whatever you think. If you saved a bunch of bucks through some of the help that I was able to provide, you might consider sending a few this way so that we can continue financing this little adventure here, especially buying supplies and such. Okay. So let's go ahead and just test something. Rick Johnson. So he immediately goes to his eBay page, as you can see. And this was done by Mike Cheney for me. Inkchip.net. Boom. All the links are here. Wick is the resetting your wasting pads. It costs $9 for the $9.99 for the reset code, but you get a 10% discount from me. Okay, if you use my code, which is actually Chipless Joe. I think that's it. Let me see if he even put it here. I think it's actually there. Yeah, Chipless Joe, right here is the discount link. Let's see, Red River. Just go directly there. It takes you directly in. They know that you went through my link. Okay, that's how it works. You want something 3D printed? One of the many options. There they are, the holders, the vacuum refilling system for the Canon Pro 100, Pro 200. This is the when you guys have a printhead that does not it does not respond to the common floated over a folded paper towel. Then you remove the cartridges, remove the printhead, install this item here directly into the printhead. Right there, just like that, and fill it with your cleaning fluid and just let it drain through. It's a passive drain, and it will, if depending on what kind of cleaning fluid you use, it will clean that printhead out. There are other methods as well. So anyway, that is it. That is the way that link works that Mr. Cheney made for me. So let's go back to me and continue on. So please use it. It's available now on all the video descriptions. I did not know that because I hadn't starting off new. You don't get the right that the shall we say the privilege of uh, inserting full links on video descriptions until you reach a certain level, which I had not reached yet. So Mike saved the day. Right. Or what about the 200 and the 300? Some people say yes, some people say no. It depends. Now that I have the Pro 1000 ready to print, why don't I just print something? Let me load. I have some 9.5 by 13, I believe. I just took a sheet of 13 by 19, cut it in half. This is Canon Glossy, Photo Glossy 2, I believe. Not with various papers. So I'm going to play that video. I'm going to play that video for you guys, and you should be able to see it. Then I'm going to attempt to do it. Okay. I've already done it once. I discovered something, Mike, and I'll talk about that as we continue. But this is what you will print, and you have to print this. And the easiest way is using QImage and choose off in the color mode. Okay, off, which also then sets the driver as none, or off, or no color management, whatever. Depends on the printer you're using. And then I printed this standard image, and it looks really, really good. I looked at I can almost see the number 2 square. I can see the number 4, the number 6, number 8, number 10, number 12. And that is right here. You cannot see it because it's by reflective light, but if I backlight it, I can see them. So it's represented, even the darkest shades. Okay. My camera is terrible. This on the video, this looks a little bit orangey, but truly it is red. It is red. I want to eat them. They look so good. And everything else looks beautiful. And this had lots of amalgamate colors, and it looks really good. What can I say? So this is the result after scanning this and then generating the profile. Okay. And it did not have to use, I don't know if I cannot pull the code, a $1,500 unit. Okay. And that, folks, you cannot beat. That takes the cake right there. I got a cord underneath my computer. Let me pull that off. You'll never believe what happened. My router turned off. I did not disrupt the cable. I was working, moving a cable from my Spectra. Um, what, that's what happened. Give me a little feedback if you were able to hear me. This will be a part on the yeah, it was something happened. Video feed frozen. Okay. So tell me about now. If I'm back, can you hear me? Let me know real quick. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So we are good to go again. There we go. Now looks good. All right. So yeah, I noticed I looked up on my router and the little light was off. So I don't know what happened. Okie doke. That's excellent. I'm glad. Always something, folks. Always something. Okay. So what were we talking about? Richard Bender, Mike Lee has released a video for the Print Prism. Yeah, let's go ahead and play that. Okay. Let's go ahead and play that baby. And then we'll talk. Besides, that was the next thing we were going to talk about anyway. So let me go ahead and remove that. I wonder if my wife lost access to the TV because it's all part of this system. All right, let me look at the video that I just did.
Hi, I'm Mike Cheney.
There's Mike Cheney. Did you guys just hear that? Hi, I'm Mike Cheney. Because when I try to play something that he had created last week or the week before, no one can hear the video if I play it directly from the channel. So did you hear that? Yes. Okay. So let's begin. I'm going to go ahead and do full screen, and I'm going to keep quiet and let you guys watch Mike performing this demo.
Hi, I'm Mike Cheney from DDI Software. If you've watched some of my prior tutorials, perhaps you own QImage and you've watched some of those, I can see you frowning at the screen right now, asking, why is he sitting in front of his Epson ET8550? This is new. Well, it is new because I have a new product for you today called Print Prism. It's going to turn your Epson EcoTank or Canon Megatank printer into printer profiling workhorses that can create printer profiles for any printer, any ink, and any media type. And this is not just a revival of the old scanner-based profiling tools like the old Profile Prism, which was also a product that we made. This is totally new. We've used in-house tools and meticulous scanning and testing to discover the spectral response curves of the supported scanners. And I'll list the supported scanners on the screen so that you can see. As long as you scan with one of those scanners, you can profile any printer. You basically print a printer target that looks like this on any printer with color management off, and you scan that in your scanner of your EcoTank or Megatank printer and make a few selections in Print Prism, and you've got an accurate profile for that printer, paper, and ink combination. Now, as I said about the spectral response, this is not a revival of old tools that required that you buy or have shipped one of these reference targets and you scan that with the printer target. That's not needed anymore. Only thing you need to do is print this on your printer, and you need to have the Print Prism software and one of the supported scanners, and you can develop profiles just from that. No extra targets or reference targets needed, just the printer target. And the Achilles heel of old scanner-based software where you had to scan a reference target, like these two together, is they would look at the scan and decide this is correct make this look correct. But the issue with that is that the scanner sees any target the way the scanner sees the target. It's subject to the light source and the sensor in the scanner. And the profiles that you got, well, they were good enough. They didn't have the same response as your eyes when you look at a print. So by discovering with our in-house tools that we created, by discovering the spectral response of the printer's light and sensor, we can convert that data to data that your eyes perceive as correct. And that's the difference. That's the advancement here in Print Prism. It's unique software, the only software of its kind that I know of. And it'll just allow you in a few minutes to just get a profile with, I mean, look at how many color patches there are on there. That's over 9,000. I'd say that's probably enough. And the reason we can have so many is because we're using a scanner, and we don't have to use a device like this, like a handheld spectrophotometer. We've turned your scanner basically into a spectrophotometer. And instead of taking one of these and trying to run down lines of patches and make sure you don't misalign something, or if you have an even more expensive one that's upwards of $1,000 or more that automatically scans, they're limited to the number of patches they can read. These scanners are high resolution and can read a lot of patches for a lot of accuracy. So that's enough about how this whole system works. Let's jump over to the PC, and I'll let you take a look at the software itself and see how easy it is to create profiles. All right, let's start with a little executive summary of what we're going to do here. We've already installed Print Prism by running the installer that we download. And by running that installer, it will install this printer target -40. And that's the target that we're going to print from our printing software. So we're going to print this target with color management turned off and then scan it. So the target is located in your Windows Pictures folder. And we're going to be using QImage for this demonstration because it's our software and it makes printing with color management turned off very easy. And that's very important to have color management turned off when you print this target. So what we're going to do is print this with color management turned off. And if you're using software other than QImage, like if you're using Photoshop, for example, Photoshop will not allow you to print with color management turned off. You have to download their little Adobe Color Print utility. So you can search for that and download that. If you're using other software, Lightroom, Affinity, whatever, just search for how to print a test target with, and then enter your program name. And you should be able to figure out how to print this with color management turned off. So we're going to go over the process here in QImage, and you can apply it to whatever software you use. But QImage is recommended anyway, because it does a better job printing than anything else to begin with. So we're just going to do it here, and we're going to go through the whole process. We're going to take this target, and the reason we print with all color management turned off is that these are all RGB values in these color patches here, and it's important that they get to the printer without being massaged or changed. And then once this is printed, the scanner, acting as a proxy spectrophotometer, the way that we've characterized it, it will take these RGB values and find out what that actually looks like to the human eye. And that's the way this process works. So when we scan it and bring that into Print Prism, then we can create a profile from it. So what we're going to do here is we've located the target. This is what we want to print. We're going to go to our software. We're going to select the right printer, obviously. We're going to select the media type that comes closest to the media that we're using. I have some leftover Canon paper that I want to use. And of course, I'm using Canon paper in an Epson printer, so I need a profile. So that's the usefulness of this software, is that you can profile any paper, but just pick the media type that comes closest to whatever paper that you're using. And that will set up the ink density for the printer, and you can get good prints from it. Media size, I would recommend 8.5 by 11. This target should be printed no smaller than about 5 by 7. But if you're loading it in on another software, the default size is 10.3 by 7.5. But here, we're just, the size is not important as long as you print it as big as you can on the size paper that you're using, paper that I want to use. And of course, I'm using Canon paper and an Epson printer, so I need a profile. So that's the usefulness of this software, is that you can profile any paper, but just pick the media type that comes closest to whatever paper that you're using. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go down to the next option, which is printer profile. And this is the most important part. You're going to drop this down and turn printer profile off. And it warns you that, do you really want to disable printer color management? And it describes that you should only be doing this for a test target. So I say yes. Now color management is off in the software. We want it to be off in the printer as well, because that's the second place that could modify our target values. Luckily, if you're using QImage, it has AI that automatically handles that. So it already set the color management to off in the driver if you use a Canon or an Epson printer. But we can go in here and double check that. Click on properties there to open the driver. And if you're in any other software, you're going to have to do this manually anyway, like I'm showing you here. You're going to find the color management options, which in this Epson printer is under more options, advanced, and then it brings up color management. Make sure no color adjustment or none is selected, depending on the driver. So what you're doing here is whatever driver you're using, they all have a little bit different dialogues. You're looking for color management or color mode, and either set it's no color adjustment or none. And that's all we have to do there. Now color management is off in the software and off in the driver. So we're ready to go. One other thing I would recommend here, it's not absolutely necessary, but I like to take sharpen and turn it off. And there's no reason to, sharpen a color target. So next, we're just going to add it at the right size. And in QImage, I'm just going to click on it and then make sure this crop button here is turned off, because you definitely don't want to crop the target, and then click fit to page. And that just makes it fit on the page as large as it can print. And then we'll just click print here and print this. And let me click soft proof here to show you what the actual page looks like. This is what the piece of paper is going to look like when it comes out of the printer. After it comes out of the printer, the only thing we're going to do next is cut off all these white edges. Again, that's not absolutely necessary, but I think it makes for a better scan. So if you have a paper cutter and you find it easy enough, cut off the white edges so you're just down to the black border. It's important that the black border stay. Don't cut it all the way up against the color patches. Leave the black border and do like it says, cut along the dotted line. Okay, using the ET8550 from Epson here as our example, we're going to scan the printed target. We printed our target and it looks something like this. We've printed it fit to page on a letter size sheet, made sure there's no cropping, and we've trimmed along the edges. As you can see, there's only a black border there. Now on the scanner, on the supported scanner that we're going to use, we just open the lid here and put the target in there. And I recommend putting the target in there to give the maximum amount of glass around the target, open space, like around here and on the sides. So here we're just going to place it in the middle. Don't place it like this. And the reason is because you want the scanner to see the white backing here around the target. It helps it get a better scan. So we're going to just place it like that, try to get it as straight as we can. And it doesn't matter if this is rotated 180 degrees. Print Prism will figure that out automatically for you. And I'll show you that. But we're just going to close the lid here. And then we're going to use Print Prism to scan this target. All right, we're going to open Print Prism for the first time after installing it now. And I'll just open it up from the desktop icon. So this comes up the first time that you run Print Prism, and it's asking for your email address. It's just a little delayed startup to remind you to enter your email address, because that's important for future updates. So we're going to enter our email address here and then click complete registration. It does allow you to get into the software without doing that in case your internet connection is down right after you buy it, and first time you install it, or there's some issue with that. We do have a way to send you a manual activation if you need to do that. So you can just contact us if you need to, but that won't typically be a problem. You normally just enter your email address here and then click complete registration, and then you'll never see this message again. Here we're just going to bypass that and go into the software. This is the Print Prism main interface here. And there's 4 steps. We're going to import the scan. So we're going to make a scan of our target that we placed in the scanner. We're going to verify that the software knows what scanner we used. And then we're going to specify just the title and the file name of the profile that we're going to create. And then step 3 is to make sure that Print Prism knows where the corners of the target are. And that's it. You just click Create Profile. So let's start out here. If you have a Canon or an Epson printer, it should show up in this list here. The first thing we're going to do is select the scanner we're going to use. So we click on this button. Don't select these WIA options because that's Windows Image Acquisition. That's a general dialog that doesn't have enough options. So don't use that. Use the driver installed with the manufacturer. So for the Epson ET8550, that would be this one. For the Canon G620 that I have, it would be this one. So just select the correct one without the WIA in the front. That's the correct one for the Epson. And then we're just going to click Scan. Now, if for some reason when we click Scan, our Twain driver isn't working, it can't contact the printer, or if something goes wrong with that, there's no need to panic. You can always open Epson Scan 2 or Canon Scan Gear standalone, scan the image in that, and save the image from the standalone software, and then just go here and open the saved scan as a file. You can find the file and you can load the file. But we're going to scan directly from Print Prism here. So we're going to click this button that says Scan Now, and that opens Epson Scan 2. In here, we just want to make sure that color management is turned off. Now, these settings that I'm going to show you here are for Epson Scan 2. The settings that you need to use for Canon Scan Gear are on the website under the Help system, or in Print Prism right here. You can click Help and then Online Manual, and the settings for the Canon are located in there. I'm just going to go through the Epson one here. They're similar on the Canon. So again, color management needs to be off. Remember, color management off, off, off for everything in this whole process that we're doing. And we have to deal with raw values here. So color management, we click on that and make sure this says none. Click OK. It's going to tell you that it's going to reset everything to default. That's good. We click yes. Now that we've done that, we just want to make sure that all these settings are as shown here. They should be by default. Make sure this says color because you don't want to scan in grayscale. And make sure resolution is 300 dpi, which I think is the default. So really probably shouldn't have to change anything here, and we're ready to scan. But first we'll preview it. We click the preview and we wait for the preview to show up in the preview window here. And the only thing that we're doing here is just making sure that the target looks relatively straight in the scanner. So that looks pretty straight to me. And it doesn't matter what orientation it's in. Print Prism should be able to figure out the orientation after it gets the scan. That looks good. Now we're going to go ahead and scan it. So we click on the scan button. And right now the scanner is scanning that target at 300 dpi, and it's going to send that scan to Print Prism. Okay, so the Epson Scan 2 is done. It has sent the file. And now Print Prism is saying, you need to save that before we continue. So you can save that anywhere you want. It doesn't make any difference. Just save it in a location that you'll remember. I already have one here from before, so I'm just going to pick this one. But you know, typically you would enter a new file name here. Like I could enter what I'm trying to do here, like Epson 8550 with Canon paper or something, and just type that in and click Save. But we need to save that image to continue. It's going to ask me to overwrite because that one was already there. And then you notice that the scan appears in this window here that you can drag around. The very first thing that we're going to do is, if you scan from within Print Prism, it should automatically set this scanner used. Because this is your sort of proxy spectrophotometer here. It needs to know what scanner scanned this. If you use the scan from within Print Prism, it should automatically set this for you. But if not, you know, you'll have to select it from the list. So that's the important thing here. It needs to know. And then the next detail we have to enter is just the description of the profile that we're using. And just to save time, I've already entered a name here that's appropriate. And this is just the title that gets embedded inside your ICC profile. You can put anything in there, but again, give it a description so that you can actually find it, because this is what's going to show up in your printing software. You'll have to locate this profile to use it. So this is the title you're typing in. Down here, we're going to give it a file name. We're not actually saving it here. We're just setting the save location and file name. So you can type in here, but that's kind of old school. You just click on this button here to choose the profile save location and file name. So we're just going to click here, and you'll notice that it automatically opens into the Windows Color folder, which is where all your profiles should be. And again, just give it a descriptive name here. I would recommend naming it the same thing. Technically, you don't have to, but you should be able to find the file here if you ever have to search through files for some reason. So just give it the same name as the description here. And typically that'll come up by default, the same name as you chose here. But for the demo, I had done some other things, so I had to type it in. Click Save. So now we've set the title that shows up when you are selecting it in your printing software, and we've chosen where to save the file. Now, the next thing that we have to do is make sure that Print Prism knows where the corners of this target are so it can locate all the patches. Fortunately, that should be easy. You just click Detect Corners here, and it should find these. Watch this red corner where the cursor is. See, it automatically found all the corners and put yellow markers on them. And I can already tell that it did it right because the white punch outs are located within each color patch, and they're not off to the side or overlapping two or anything like that. So I can tell that it already did it correctly. If for some reason it failed or these are off or something, let's say it came up. I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say it came up and this corner was, way off or something. Now you'll notice that, the punch outs don't look like they're in the right position. I must have a problem. So once you scroll to this corner, you can see, yeah, that one's off. I got to replace that. You can use the manual buttons here to manually mark the corners. Just click on the button that you want to mark and then click on the corner and do that for all four, and they should be marked. So now we've taken care of step 3. Print Prism knows where all the color patches are and they look aligned properly. Now you'll see that it does give you some stats once that it puts these white punch outs in here. It says 4 patches are marked with an X that are near clipped or clipped. That's really good. I've seen numbers in the hundreds before, and they generate profiles just fine. So don't obsess about this number right here. If you ever want to know what one of these patches is, a kind of a cool feature is like this red patch here. If you want to know what RGB values came out of the scan, just right click. And it gives you a little densitometer. It shows you the details for that patch. But, that's just a little aside. You shouldn't need that little diagnostic. So don't obsess over the number of patches that were marked. Just go ahead and create the profile. And here I already have one, yet I want to overwrite it. So now you can see that it's building the profile here. And on a well-spec machine, it should take under a minute to generate the profile. Now it's done, and it tells you down here it saved the file. It tells you where it saved it. And you can go use this profile now from your printing software.
All righty. I hope that was clear. I have to tell you, it works. I already did it on that glossy paper from Staples, and I was wondering if this is going to actually work, because that particular paper, let me go ahead and close all of this baloney here. That particular paper was very, very old, and apparently because they had OBAs, and after a certain number, I think it's over a decade old, it began to turn a little bit yellow. The OBAs sort of burn out in time. And yeah, I thought this is not going to work, but I didn't want to use some of my more valuable paper. So I tried it with that. Simply did as Mike said in the video. Then I test printed this. I analyzed it and I looked at it. I looked at my electron microscope image here. Looked at the color patches. These are all out of gamut. Normally, that's how the standard image was created. I looked at the graduations here, the transitions. There's no abrupt banding or anything like that. If you're doing portraiture, then you want correctly render skin tones, and they don't look like Martians. They do not look like they are sunburned. I looked at everything here, and everything looked fairly correct. I mean, as close as I could see from my screen. I backlit it and looked at my densities. I can see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That doesn't happen often when you get that kind of rendition. I looked at the highlights. So this is 254, which 255 is this. 254 is just under, just like 2 is just above black. So you have to, I don't know if I can backlight. Yeah, I can see 254. So I can't see how this could be any better. Okay. Most of the time I lose maybe up to number 6 here, where everything before that is just the same shade. There's no distinction, density difference. Um, so what can I say? So all I can do now, and I haven't done anything else with it, I stopped at this point because I wanted to wait until today. And I'm just going to use QImage. And I'm going to print a few images. I have some more of that paper loaded, by the way. If you want to get some fresh paper, looks like this. Go to Staples. You get like 50 sheets. It's relatively thick. Um, it's not super thin, like crappy, really low quality. No, it's not like that at all. So let's go ahead and I had some. Let me go ahead and load my desktop, because that's where all of my stuff is. And let's do some of the AI images. I have 8.5 by 11. This is ultra premium glossy. The stuff is really, originally when it was brand new, really nice pure white. But right now, so that profile, even though I have 5 boxes of that paper, and I am absolutely sure they're all slightly yellow due to the OBA issue that happens after, say, 10, 15 years of storage. So let's just go ahead and check printer, paper, letter size is the size, and this is the profile. So I made that profile. I called it, I should have named it Prism, but I did not. But this is it. And let's see what we can print. Now let's do something a little bit more. Let's see what we have. I want something with a little bit. Oh, here we go. Some of these wallpapers. We'll do that one. That'll take into account all of those reds. Let's check the purples and see how those print. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm not going to do anything else to it. No sharpening, no adjustments at all. I'm just going to print them as they are. Let that baby load. It's almost 1:40. We're going to stay on another 20 minutes here. I got to go out and pick something up in about an hour or so. Don't want to stay here too long. And I don't want to take your guys' weekends away. And I apologize for the issue with the router. Just the other day while this is loading, let's just go back to me. Tell you what happened. So I think I told you guys, maybe was it last week? No, I don't think this happened during the weekend. Um, Sitting around and the phone rang and she answered it. And then later on, oh yeah, I was down here. And then later on she says, phone's not working. So I say, what do you mean? So no dial tone. So I go, oh boy. I start fiddling with the jacks, the wiring. No, no results. So I get on Verizon, that's my provider, and eventually get to a person, a real person, and they could not fix it remotely. So they sent a repairman. That was I told you that last week. It was no, it was actually the day before my wife's the day of my wife's procedure, which was what, Wednesday, this past Wednesday. So get home, rest a little bit, and then the guy shows up. Couldn't get anything to work in the house, so he went out to the box. Everything is brand new out there, and he fiddle, and got it fixed. What he did, I have no clue. I thanked him profusely, and then he went home. So things like that happen. So I don't know what caused this to happen. Um, they should print pretty quickly. Um, did not choose super high quality or anything like that. Let me see if there's any other images that I can. Wallpapers here. You all see this. This is all usually on Windows machines. They'll have this wallpaper and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and wait till this prints. I want to compare it and see how close we got. Then we'll do another set. Maybe I'll do a monochrome. That should be interesting. See how it renders a monochrome. Is that a monochrome? No, that is not a monochrome. It looks like it, but it is not. Let's see. New AI. I think we went through those before already. These are good general images here. Let's do some of this. This is interesting. This is way back. Um, some of my negatives from Belgium when I was in Belgium in the early 80s. And these are going to require a bit of an adjustment. They're from 35 millimeter negatives, probably Tri-X, very grainy. But we'll go ahead and test a couple of these out. That is a bird. What is it? A duck? A giant pigeon? I don't know what it is. Maybe we'll do a full size of that one. We'll do fit to page like that with cropping. Let me open it up. I want to see what it looks like internally. Oh, that looks really good. Let me give you guys a quick peek at this. Look at the resolution that I scanned this at. Gave me 8,895 pixels by 5,759. So when I scan 35 millimeter, I scan it at the maximum resolution that the scanner can provide. I have a V500 from Epson. Oh, that's looking so lovely. Oh my God. So yeah, this is pretty good. And gosh, do I even need to do anything to it? Let me just add. Let me see what a little bit of deep focus sharpening can do. Okay. Let me add 175. Let's see what it does right here. This is a high res image here, but again, it's from film. My point was to use as high resolution possible so that I can then possibly capture the film grain. like physically scan the film grain. That was the whole point of this. We'll let that load. I'm going to come back to me a second here. So this was probably done, and I forgot what camera I had available. It may have been the Exacta or maybe the Nikon, that old Nikon that I had and that I bought in Japan on my way back from Korea. Maybe no, not Panasonic, Plus X, which is not even available anymore, I don't believe. So we'll go ahead and say okay. Then we'll come back and do that one. We'll print that one. Let it pop back up. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this. I am going to show you. So we're going to remove that. I'm just going to click and delete. I know there are easier ways to do this, but okay, here's what we got. How can I show you this? There we go, like that. That's pretty damn good. Hang on. Maybe we get a better result that way. Color-wise, I think this and the purple matches pretty well. It's pretty good. The other one, it looks a little darker there, but on when I view it, it's about the same. This is really good. So, and again, be aware of the paper. The paper's condition. But wow, that's pretty good. Let's do. And now I want to see the results with the monochrome. Let me go ahead and delete that. We'll print that big boy. I'm going to give it I'm going to put a, oops, what did I do? I deleted it. I want to put a, what you call it, a stroke on it. Maybe 4. And click. And then, there you go. And we'll see. Let's see what we get. It's going to take a while to load because that's a huge file. So, do you need one of these? This is a Color Monkey, or you can buy the new version that I believe, who sells this now? Calibrite? Or if you want to spend big bucks, this one here, you can't see it. I don't want to pull the plug. I don't want to pull the plug and show you. Well, maybe. Here you go. This unit here. Or you already own a 8550. I had a question for you, Mike. In the list of scanners that are tied to printers, it saw my V500 from Epson. Can I use that? I suspect that the V500 may be better than the scanner on the 8550. I can access that. I can actually link to that. What do you think, Mike? Should I bother setting up my V500 for ICC profile production? Or should I just stick with that? I have a little bit more confidence with my V500 possibly being a better quality scanner. You tell me. Okay, so you set up the software specifically for those two printers. All right, that answers my question. All righty, excellent. So that's going to print now, and we'll see how neutral we get this. I always said, and this is coming from basically a layperson. I really don't know a lot about color management, or except for the basics that gets me where I need to be when I produce prints. Um, so we'll see. I always say if you get a perfectly linearly neutral result of an image that is perfectly linearly neutral and it matches your color images, should pretty much, as long as they're in gamut, pretty much be perfect. Okay, you should have the same level of success if you can produce a neutral from a neutral image, a neutral result on whatever paper. Yeah, I got you. So you've made this specifically for those two scanners. Okay. Just wondering, because in the list I saw the V500, not the list that you showed in the video, but the main list where you can locate a source by hand. So after we're done here, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to do a bit of a experiment using the matte version of that paper. This is what we're currently printing on right now. It's called Photo Supreme High Gloss. Um, I also have this. This is matte, so Photo Supreme matte, and this is really reasonably priced at Staples. You might want to consider purchasing some if you happen to be there for something else. I like the way everything defaults to the highest possible quality, so it takes longer to print than it would normally be at a lower DPI setting. And be aware that DPI has nothing to do with PPI, okay? Did you ever buy any Canon paper? Of course I did. Yeah. Canon used to have buy one, get 9 free. I have a ton of Canon paper still available. So, especially the larger sizes. Imagine buying, Pro Luster is the best. I love it myself as well. Imagine buying, have you tried the semi-gloss? Imagine buying one box of 50 13 by 19, $50, and you get 9 more boxes. That was the deal we had way back then. I don't know who or what cost kind of to do that, but they did. And so it increased my, stock quite a bit. Okay, I see it coming out. There's a little light right here that illuminates the image on the print as it emerges, and I'm looking, and it looks, and I think that's a pretty accurate light for checking what the results are as they are emerging. And I'm not going to use those lights above me. They're very yellowish. They're those those save power fluorescent lights. They're terrible for photo viewing. I'm going to go ahead and use my calibrated light over here. And we'll see if there's any kind of tone that I detect. Then we'll see if that is due to the profile I created or whatever the reason. If it is absolutely neutral, like I hope it is, then I can just go pat Mike Cheney on the back and myself on the back for being able to actually use it. And yeah, be aware, of course, my camera is not absolutely neutral. It does not really create a very accurate rendition of me and anything. It's a terrible way to show results of images because it's a $99 camera and it's really not going to be able to represent what is actually being produced. But remember, this is from film as well. And I was discussing with that gentleman at Thanksgiving while eating turkey. Uh, he wants to be able to do digital, but from negative. So I explained to him the process he needs to go through, and he hates printing. He just wanted to stay with digital on a digital display. And I couldn't talk him out of it, unfortunately. That, to me, and I'm looking at this, this is dead neutral. I'm looking at the shadow detail there. I see it here. There's a bit of detail, not much. Remember, this is way back, 1981, I would say. We got there in 1980, so 1981, maybe 1980, who knows? Maybe this is spring of 91 because that's when we started doing sightseeing. So this detail here, I see it here as well. Well, like I said, it's difficult here. So you can see it right there. And that's pretty dark. That's pretty dark in there. The white, this is probably about as pure white as you can get right here in this other area as well. Maybe back here in the foliage in the rear. So it's a really good rendition of the dynamic range of this black and white photo. You can see the stick right here. There's a little branch on the water there. And it is as clear as day is there in the screen as well. Also, keep in mind that this is a really super crappy monitor. I'm just using it as an extension of mine, and I don't want to. Make you watch me on this screen, on that screen, and then no, it's too much of a pain in the butt to do that with a StreamYard. But hey, it seems to work. It seems to work. So that is the result so far. So again, like I stated earlier, if you can create a faithful representation of what is a monochrome image and make it print, and remember, if you see a tinge of what you suspect is yellow, is the paper. The paper has that overall yellow tint because of the OBAs burnt out on them. So it just kills me to have to throw away 4 boxes of that. I have to check the other boxes, make sure they don't have the same problem, and then replace it. I'm gonna have to go to Staples and replace it with new stuff. But if I don't point this out to anyone, they may not be able to even notice it. So that is a fat pigeon, is what that is. Very fat pigeon. Let me see what else we can print here. Because again, this is after I discover where the heck some of my negatives were in the house. So let's go ahead and take that off. What do we have here? So I know what that is. This is my wife and her father. He came to visit us. He passed away a few years after that. We had a beautiful canal that ran through our neighborhood here. We lived right off of the canal. Now this one here is a window. I like that one. I printed that big. Here's a little bit of a street photography. Let's go ahead and try to print that. Let me see what it looks like enlarged. And again, it's 8895 by 59, 5759. Super, super high res. She knows I'm taking her picture. That's funny. She knows. So we'll just add a little output sharpening. Look at that. Look at the artifacts from the scanning. Good Lord. This is let me reduce the magnification. Yeah. Oh gosh, what happened there? That looks terrible. Terrible. That's not a very good scan. I cannot figure out why that happened. Let me just cancel out of that one. No, I don't want to save it. That is weird. Here's my daughter. This is actually in Paris. Yeah, there's the Eiffel Tower. We took the Girl Scouts to Paris. And there they are making faces, being silly. This is at a cathedral. I think it was Notre Dame. We'll print that one. Let's see what that looks like magnified. I hope it doesn't have that artifact the other one had. Yeah, this is good. We'll just add a little bit of sharpening. Yeah, that's it. See that? It has grain. You can see the grain. And that's what I was always after. There you go. So we'll let that load. And we'll print that one. That should be good. And unlike printing in the darkroom or maybe in editing this in Photoshop, I could do dodging and burning in just like you would in the darkroom with your hands, and a little wire with a little black loop of paper. So let's see. I'm going to print this without any cropping, like that, and we'll go ahead and let it do its thing, and that'll be it. After that, then I have a picture. Oh, wait a minute. Is my daughter eating pizza or what? Right here. You can see this one here. Let that load first. I really like Pro Platinum, but don't make it 22 by 70. Yeah, Pro Platinum is ridiculously good. It's really, but the thing is, you better not. It's like sublimation aluminum. Don't touch it with your fingers. Immediately, it gets a smudge on it. That's the problem with that. That is always the issue. Here's some art by my friend Richard. You can see the gloss on that. If you touch it with your fingers, you're going to put a fingerprint on it. So the same thing with that type of super glossy paper. But it's absolutely Glorious quality. I love it. Here is a shot of a cathedral. This is from Harold Davies. He sent me this. He's not on today because his computer um, kind of had an issue. Needs a new motherboard or something. So he's taking care of that today. Maybe he'll watch this later. That's going to load. I can remove this one. And then we'll go ahead and load whatever my daughter is doing here. Oh, wow. What the heck are you doing, girl? She's drinking something. So let that load again. I'm going to add some sharpening. And Mike, I know we can do this somewhere else, but this is how I have grown to, do this little pre-print adjustment. That's all I ever do. Um, and that's it. And I'm looking at my dynamic range. It looks good to me. So we will stick to that. And that'll go off next. So let me go ahead and make sure that I have another sheet of paper loaded. Yep, one more glossy here. Two more. Then I want to see if I have something very colorful, a little bit demanding. I want to put something a bit more demanding here and see what we get. And I love what Pete Grove put up. My dream team: Jose, Mike Lee, and Keith Cooper. I hope you also add Mike Cheney to that. The man is a genius. And I'm not saying this just to kiss butt. No, you are. Okay, that's loading slowly, but loading. And now we can add that to the next job. Let that baby load. Well, yeah, you know, I got to talk Mike Lee. Come back. He made me laugh so hard because the man told me, I said, so Mike, how's it coming? He says, well, everything is dandy. And I thought, because I had a little funny incident that took place, I was asking him about chips for the Pro One. And you saw what I was able to do with the Pro One last time. Um, in fact, I should do a nozzle check. It's been a week. Um, and he said that he doesn't have any chips, but that Precision Colors Chicago has them, and so I'm going to go ahead and order some. Now, the truth is, I never had to pay for chips from Mike. Mike would always send me whatever I needed, so I'm just going to have to purchase a set. But he says I haven't printed for like a couple of months, and I go, "Wow, your printers are going to die," because he's got all those printers still in his little shop. So I tried to contact him, like I said, when I was trying to ask him about the chips, and he would not answer. And I thought, what's going on? What's going on? I didn't want to bother him. Um, and then I get a random email. He said, "Man, I'm in Tahiti," and I went, "Whoa, you party animal, you!" So he was enjoying time. He wanted us into Hawaii, visited a relative, and headed on a cruise through all of the South Pacific Islands. And I said, yeah, he didn't have any Wi-Fi, so he couldn't answer me. But I thought that's awesome. The problem is you're going to forget everything you learned. And I always make a joke that he'll forget more than I'll ever learn. So um, I would like to have him back, and we'll just enjoy a couple of hours of just shooting the breeze, if you get what I mean. I'm seeing a very good result. Now, the man that I was sitting next to Thanksgiving dinner was talking about being able to reproduce the look of a darkened print. And I said, well, good luck. You would have to have a paper that not only has the same surface as whatever paper you were using back in the silver days. That is lovely. Now, this kind of looks like, okay, back in the early days, glossy paper had to be ferrotyped. Ferrotyping is a chrome-plated sheet of um, metal. They would, if you had a drum dry like I had in my lab, it was as mirror finish on it, except most of the time they have little tiny scratches on them from just handling. And you would send this facing the ferrotype so that the glossy part of the printer, the print, went against that chrome plated piece of heated metal, and it would come out with a shine. I guess what happened is that the gelatin surface sort of melt a little bit. It would conform to the gloss or the mirror finish of that ferrotype plate, and yeah, it gave you a glossy surface. Except most people wanted it upside down, so it would then dry to a semi-gloss look, but it had a certain finish. Um, Nothing like when you ferrotype it. So when you heard in Hollywood 8x10 glossy, well, it was literally 8x10 and glossy done on the ferrotype plate. Otherwise, it would have been like an end surface paper. That's what they called it back then. Um, if you ferrotype it, it's glossy. If you do not, it's end surface. And that is really difficult to reproduce. I don't think there's many, if any, photographic papers for inkjet printing that can give you that look. I can go back and show you some of my regular silver prints, except I also do not have many actual full silver emulsion prints before they went over to RC paper. Uh, and we discussed that a little bit with this gentleman. Um, I did, and so what would happen normally is after you go through the developing step, and when you did it by hand, you did it until you were satisfied, not a specific amount of time that a processing machine would run it through. So many minutes through the developers, half a minute through the stop bath, and maybe 4 minutes in the fixer, and then wash. No, you did it as needed, and you adjusted things with a hot cotton ball with developer, and you increased. Yeah, you did many manipulations, and then you went to the stop bath and the fixer. After the fixer, you had to then wash it. The problem was we didn't have resin coated paper back then. We had regular fiber based paper. And what is that made out of? Out of wood fibers. So what does that mean? Cellulose. And cellulose had a, a really strong affinity to the agent in fixer, sodium disulfide, I believe it is. And so it would chemically bond, and it was very difficult to wash off. So we'd run it for a whole hour, and that's a lot of water waste. Okay, if you are into today's environmental thinking, you would never approve that. So they made hypo eliminator, and it would break that bond. You wash it in that solution, and then 10-minute wash, and you should be relatively free of hypo in the fibers of the paper. And if you were going to do a print for a museum and you needed longevity as maximum as you can get, you would literally have to wash that for hours or run it through hypereliminator, wash it again, and then maybe do a selenium toning, which would bleach the silver image and replace it with a toner. And that gave you a very long lasting print. So RC papers became the norm, and both surface of the paper, they're just a regular paper base, was coated, so chemicals never got into the wood fibers, and so they could be easily washed off by in a machine. The wash cycle is like 2 minutes, and that's it. Then it dries it, and you're done. No ferrotyping, just you just get that surface. And so that became the norm. That became very good with the environmentalists. Very happy, made them very happy. The only problem was that they also reduced the amount of silver in the coating. So your blacks, if you complain about blacks, compare the 1100 against the 1000. Yeah, once you went to those RC papers with the lower silver content, you had a very lower density level on the maximum blacks. And Enceladus would not have liked that at all. He would have been very angry. There's my girl. Look at that. Look at the quality. Like I said, it looks a little yellowish here, but in real life, it looks really neutral. I would like to add a tone to that, like a sepia tone to that. That would be fantastic with a sepia tone. Let me see if I can sneak that up real quick. One more check. Yeah, I got one more, so I'm going to add sepia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this as a black and white. Let me get my over there and go to properties. I think it's properties here. And I'm going to see if I can turn this into a black and white. So we would do that here. And I'm just going to print on black and white mode. So go into my more and then advanced. And now I got this window here. So I am going to take this and add sepia like that. That's it. And I'm going to print. I'm going to say, okay. It does not change this, but the print will be changed to a sepia tone. And that will give it that vintage look, I guess, because a lot of those images back in those days were sepia toned. It's really amazing how they did that or why. And I don't know why. I think it's basically to enhance longevity. So that's going to take a while to load. Looking at the image, TIFF. Also, they're all TIFF images, TIFF files. Let that baby load. Meanwhile, we'll come back. Any questions you guys have before I go get some food for us? What you said about the Pro 1000 is not. It's just not. If more important for the Pro 1100. Don't buy a printer if you print once a week. You will throw money away for ink. Yeah, printers is for printing professionally. So we're talking about $60 per each one of these. You got 12 of them. Yeah, Jose, but if you print every day, aren't you using a lot of ink? Well, you're producing prints that have a value. If you're printing as a hobby just for you, I hope you have lots of money. Yes, it's expensive. It's expensive. I do everything I possibly can to lower my expenses by and still use OEM ink by buying big old cartridges. I look for them on eBay at a much reduced price. Instead of 300, maybe 105 or something like that. And so far I got about 7 of the 12. So I just need like another 5. And then I'll have a relatively large amount of or a supply of OEM. Now, some colors you don't really need to go OEM. The black that Precision Color sells is actually really good. The matte black is actually a little bit denser than the original Canon uh, matte black ink. So you can stay with those and save a lot more money that way as well. In fact, their ink set that they are selling now, I think only contains one OEM color. Okay. Okay. After this is done, that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and bid everyone a wonderful rest of the week. I think next week I'm the only one that has an appointment. I just gotta go get my teeth cleaned. That's all. This is taking a while to close. And then on Wednesdays we have a luncheon to go to. We meet up with a bunch of older people. I think I'm like the youngest one there. And we do it here locally, just 2 minutes away from here. It's a sports bar. They love it. Those old ladies love it. And they bring their old husbands as well. And we sit on a big old table. They set up a table for us. And yeah, it's just great. And then Monday, tomorrow, is just pick up Nathan at school. And he's got to take his, it's like a entrance exam, but for high school. That's what you got to do when you go to private school. So he's got to do that on Wednesday. But the thing is, and he told me that he gets uh, released at noon. And I told him, hey, buddy, I'm not going to be able to pick you up. Sorry. And he'll have to live with that. He loves his grandpa. What can I say? So this is going to be for next week. I will add a bit more to that. Let me go ahead and reduce this, close it. Hit that like button. My referral link is in that file that I showed you guys. Let me post that again. I might have it here. Just copy this. Copy this right here. Copy that. Go there. When you go to Q image, it will have the referral link. Okay. I'll leave you guys a couple of minutes here to copy that down. I see a sepia tone emerging. I want to make sure that the brownish tint is not just magenta-ish. I wanted to have a ochre color, which includes a little bit of yellow. And so that's how sepia tone, the true sepia tone. And it was a really fun process. You take your finished black and white print and you bleach it. It bleaches it. And then you wash it and you put it in the sepia tone, and the bleached image was still there. The sepia toner would attach chemically to that image that is left over. Basically, you just untarnish the image, okay? And it became just white. So that's all a silver print really is. It's just tarnished silver, reduced silver salts. They become silver, and then you can bleach that. The content is still there, and then you tone it. And it's amazing how it would tone itself depending on the density of silver on that image. From if it was dense, it would tone it dark. If it was barely there, it would tone it slightly, almost no tone at all. So did you guys get that? Let me know. Take this down, um, and then just go to it. And again, all the links to everything that I support are there. And the link for affiliations. Everything is there. Okay. Let me go ahead. That's still printing, so I still have time here. If you go to it, let me show you. So there's no confusion. If you go directly to it, here, you will see up here that everything that you would get through my affiliation is already included in the price. Okay? So the discount is right here. Instead of 89, it's 59.99. Okay? And the same thing here. Instead of 99, is 69.99. And so it automatically is taking you to the affiliation page of QImage Ultimate, as well as QImage One also. I think this is done. Let's take a look at it. Look at this, folks. Whoop. This is the result, the tone result. And it is global. It's applied globally through the image. So it really does a wonderful job. Now, when it did this, it does no longer uses the profile. Uh, Black and white mode is no profile. Okay, it is using the driver, and you apply your tones accordingly. So you're printing black and white. If your result happens to be a little greenish, you look at it, it looks a little greenish. Remove some of the green. There's a correction color wheel. Move the icon or the cursor away from green. Magenta is the opposite of green. So the same thing, if it's yellow, turn it toward blue. If it's blue, turn it toward yellow. If it's cyan, turn it toward what? Red. I love it. Boy, I'm going to go back and print some of these again. These are good. What a haircut, my lord. And she was sassy as can be. She got moody in her old age. We used to call her Moody Judy. Still is in a way. But she's the mother of my only grandson. And so, yeah, she's top notch. Update on my brother in law. Um, my second daughter's husband suffered that stroke, went through like a week and a half of hospitalization, many scans, and catheterizations and all of that. And they sent them to rehab. Spent a whole week there. Did very well. He went home Thanksgiving Day, and he climbed up 19 steps to his apartment. And my daughter had the Christmas tree up, and she could have Alexa turn it on from the car. And so he was so happy to be home. And all his buddies from the wrestling here in Baltimore, he's a huge wrestling fan, send him so many get wells, and even send him a blanket with pictures of him meeting all the famous wrestlers in WWE and all. It was amazing. So he's home resting, and I hope that recuperation will begin to happen. It takes a long time, and I hope he gets that through his head because he wants everything now. But anyway, that's not the way things work. So I think that's it for now. Unless there's something else you guys want to talk about, let me go ahead and load a slideshow. I got to do this without messing up here. Get this queued up. Remove this. I don't know how I can take this off. Exit. Good Lord. Anyway, we'll pop it over there. Let me see. Thank you. Again, this is your last chance. Any questions you want answered? Did you have a topic you forgot to ask about? Please do so now. And I will go ahead and attempt to take care of you. Save that. Load the video over there. And that is ready to go. All right. Well, if that's going to be it, then I wish everyone a wonderful coming up week. Let's see. Wait a minute. Thank you, Henry. And Pete, Red River Ultra Pro Gloss is a good glossy photo paper. I have used both the Canon and Red River with very little difference. It may, it may come from the same mill. I think worldwide, there's only like 7 mills that produce inkjet media for many, many resellers out there. And they are branded. Now, people like Red River, I think they can ask for certain uh, changes, let's just say. Um, so, it may take something that's physically available already, just like inks, and like Mike Lee used to do, and just have it tweaked this way or that way. I think they can do that, but I'm not entirely sure of that. Don't quote me on that. Thank you. All right, so that's going to be it. We will see you next week. As always, have a wonderful rest of the week. Happy printing, everybody. Bye bye.